Okay, so next up in Romeo's big speech, he says, he says, uh, "Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean, abhorred monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour?" He says, "I wonder if death is in love with you, and that's why he's taken you, and also why you're still so beautiful." Of course, we know she's beautiful because she's not actually dead, but he thinks she's beautiful because maybe death is staying away from her. I would like to point out that Romeo's poetry has improved. This is a He's making more interesting metaphors than he made at the beginning of the play about, oh, you're my angel and your eyes are light and all this stuff. He's become a more interesting kind of poet as he gets close to death. That's an interesting metaphor to say. For the metaphor about death's pale flag is not advanced there is very interesting. Um, I mean, so is suck the honey of thy breath. And this line about maybe death is in love with you, and that's why you still look so beautiful. And he wants that you're so beautiful. Death wants you to be with him, and that's why he took you, and that's why you're still so beautiful. For fear of that, I still will stay with thee, and never from this place, this palace of dim night, depart again. Here I will remain, with worms that are thy chambermaids. Oh, here I will set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from this world-wearied flesh. Inauspicious stars is like the cursed stars, because he feels like their relationship was cursed. Eyes, look your last, arms, take your last embrace, and lips, O you, the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Um, Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide. Thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick, weary bark. He imagined himself like a shipwreck. Here's to love. O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss I'd die. By the way, the movie moves the line, the drugs are quick, to the part before Mercutio flips out with his big giant speech. And then Friar Lawrence shows up and he's a complete fucking waste of time. And he tries to comfort Juliet, and basically he just runs away. He kind of can't handle it because Juliet wakes up and she's like, "Where is Romeo?" And he hears noises and is worried about people, and he just runs away. Friar Lawrence really fucks up at the end. He says, I dare no longer stay," and he leaves her alone. He sees all these dead bodies, and it's just like, that's it. Um, and Juliet wants poison, and she kills herself, and that's the end of Romeo and Juliet. Um, she has a kind of she doesn't have a great big speech. She has a much shorter speech. It's sort of less interesting. Um, but it's kind of it's I have a secret love for Romeo and Juliet. I think it's kind of a wonderful play. There's two things I want to say about the final words of the play. One is I'm going to make fun. I love the movie, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I think it's so fucking good. But there's one line in it that drives me absolutely up the fucking wall. It is so annoying. It's right here on the last page of Romeo and Juliet. The prince says, um, "Capulet Montague, see what a scourge is laid upon your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. And I," here it is, "for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen. All art punished." Um, I too, for winking at your discords, have lost a brace of kinsmen. For closing my eyes to your family's fighting, two family members of mine, a brace means two. I have lost a brace of kinsmen, meaning I have lost two relatives because I've closed my eyes to all of your fighting between your stupid families. Now, what the movie fucks this line up. I don't think the movie knows what the words mean. I love the movie so much, and it just irritates me to no end that they include the line, "I too have lost a brace of kinsmen." He says he's lost two relatives. Now, for starters, it has to do with it's the difference between the play and the movie. In the play, um, the prince is not the chief of police. In the movie, he's Captain Prince, chief of police. In the play, he's the prince of the area, the city, I guess. I don't know. The country? I don't know. He's the prince. Um, the kinsman, the movie doesn't tell you this, but he is related to Mercutio, is his family member. But also Paris is his family member. Paris is the guy that wanted to marry Juliet after she married Romeo, and Mercutio. Mercutio and Paris are both related to the prince. And so he says, I too have lost a brace of kinsmen. Meaning, two, because I didn't pay attention to this war between your families and didn't do enough to stop it, two relatives of mine are dead. But the movie includes the line, two relatives of mine are dead, except the movie never mentioned that Captain Prince was related to Mercutio. And also, in the movie, Paris doesn't get stabbed by Romeo at Juliet's tomb. So that guy's not even dead at all. And doesn't look like a family member of Captain Prince, and we never knew that Mercutio was a relative of Captain Prince. That's extremely confusing, and it makes me crazy that they include the line, I too have lost a brace of kinsmen, because when you watch them, every time I watch the movie, I'm like, no, you didn't. Mercutio died, but we didn't know he was related to you, and Paris did not die, so I had no idea that two of your family members died in this. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about in the last fucking line of the movie. The play has a great little detail I kind of want to point out, though. The very final words of the play. Never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. Very recently, like in the last couple of months, they found papers from John Milton. And John Milton's a famous poet who came after Shakespeare, and he read a lot of Shakespeare. And John Milton did something interesting. He retitled the play. He had a copy of Romeo and Juliet, and he crossed it out, and he wrote Juliet and her Romeo. It's kind of a better title. There was also a recent production of Romeo and Juliet, and they changed the title. They called it Juliet and Her Romeo instead of Romeo and Juliet. And I think, having gone through the play, I hope you can see that she's so much smarter and so much better and so much more intense than he is. I really like, instead of calling it Romeo and Juliet, let's call it Juliet and Her Romeo. It's kind of a better title, because she is really the goddess of love, and he did everything he could to keep up with her, and he couldn't avoid the toxic masculinity, and he couldn't avoid killing himself in front of her moments before she woke up. And she did a lot of things right, and she deserved better. Juliet and her Romeo. Also, and this is really not related to class at all, but I saw a Tumblr post that made fun of this. For never was there a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. And then they followed it up with, never was there a tale of more strife than this of Macbeth and his stabby knife. And then they followed it up with, never was there a tale of more sad than this of Hamlet and his spooky dad. That was pretty funny. Kind of just imagining other Shakespeare plays having these final two lines. Anyway, that was Romeo and Juliet. So Google search The Phoenix and the Turtle, full text, Shakespeare, and you will find a copy of The Phoenix and the Turtle by Shakespeare. It's not a long poem. It is fucking impossible to understand. And for the final classes, I'm going to walk you through that poem, and we are going to wrap up this semester. I'm only going to make 2 more series of videos, and then there'll be a concluding video, or a series of concluding videos. I'll figure that out. So Romeo and Juliet. Good job. I really miss you guys. It's depressing doing this like this. I mean, it's literally raining. You can't see the rain, but it's literally raining. I'm out here in the rain under the deck, and I'm cold, and it sucks. And I miss all of you. So, think about things for your papers, and stories about love, and stories about, conflict between families, and I don't know, whatever you want to write about. Find some things. All right, cool. So let me know what you think, and let me know some ideas for papers, and let me know your thoughts on this. And honestly, you're welcome to ask me questions that are like, what the fuck about this part of the play that you completely didn't talk about? Maybe I'll make a video about that. I don't know. Maybe I won't. The semester's wrapping up. So anyway, I love you all. I miss you all, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully someday when this stupid thing gets lifted. Oh.